Welcome to Instruction Discussion, our weekly look at the latest topics and trends in education affecting schools here on Long Island and schools around the world. Whether you're a teacher, parent, or student, listen for tips and strategies to help you navigate the educational landscape. There's a bell. It's time to start today's Instruction Discussion on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Hello, I'm Kevin Boston Hill, and welcome to Instruction Discussion, where each week we will examine a recent trend or development in education and its impact on Long Island. We have heard a great deal about how our K-12 students and teachers will navigate these pandemic waters. We have also heard how colleges and universities are dealing with this situation as well. One population we have not heard much about are our youngest members, our preschoolers. Parents are currently grappling with what makes sense for their child from both a health and safety perspective, as well as an academic perspective. Throughout the current times, the goal is for children to thrive in a highly engaging online learning environment. However, educational technology has not been strong for preschoolers until now. Having been at the forefront of early childhood education for over 20 years, Dawn Lesley Stewart founded the Perry School in the West Village of New York City and created the online think tank program to assist parents and guardians with helping their preschoolers learn in an online environment. Ms. Stewart, welcome to Instruction Discussion on 90.3 WHPC.
Good morning, Kevin. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure, my pleasure. So, but before we get into today's class lesson, tell us a little bit about the Perry School and Think Tank.
Sure, thank you. Perry School was founded in 2001 in the West Village in Manhattan. I've been the director and founder of the school since then. And I also created an academic in-person program, an academic program for preschoolers at Perry School called Think Tank in 2008. We've been running that program in person, and just before the pandemic, we were planning on doing an online program with Think Tank, and it just so happens the pandemic pushed it along a lot quicker, and we were able to pivot and bring Think Tank online for our entire preschool community during the lockdown.
So I guess it's true what they say, necessity is the mother of invention, huh?
Yes, absolutely.
So Think Tank is your method of teaching our youngest population of students. So how is that method different than anything else that's out there?
That's an interesting question. First of all, we have been able to get children at pre-K and K into gifted and talented schools in New York City, which is not an easy task. It takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of skill to get into those schools. In addition, the Think Tank children were able to get into also some of the top private schools in New York City. And if they went to the Gen Ed, if they went to the PS schools, they were at the top of the public schools, local public schools with large class sizes with one teacher. So that has been a true success. In addition to that, now we've been able to pivot online, which is very exciting. And you can receive an online private school education that you would originally have to come to Perry School for, which would cost you tens of thousands of dollars, and you can get it online anywhere in the world.
Wow, I'm sure that will be a very good relief to a lot of parents who are wondering, trying to juggle that preschool and how to pay for things and childcare and all of that. So knowing that there's a place they can go to get their children really academically ready to handle the rigors of kindergarten, first grade, they can do this now through Think Tank and Perry School.
Absolutely. So
we know that schools all across the country are giving different guidelines for how they're going to go back to school. Some schools are doing full remote, some are doing a hybrid, some are trying to do in person, but we see the results of that's what's going on there. So what is your opinion on balancing classroom time with remote learning?
Sure, that's a great question. Well, first of all, as we know, during the lockdown, children did not have the best experience online. Many of the programs fell, and children did not learn. Parents were disappointed. Children were disappointed, and in fact, they didn't learn. So that's something that we need to address. we want to make sure, I want to give some advice to parents that your child is involved in an engaging, high-quality remote program. That's first and foremost. Now, as we know, homeschool connection is important. It's been very important. It's been very important and a major component to success with children. However, now that we are online, it's even more important. We need to stay connected to our teachers. We need to be in touch with them to make sure our children do not fall through the cracks of the educational system. I also want to tell parents, another tip here is to really build a community more than you ever have before. Considering that we can't meet in person for the most part, it is important that we create a community or a tribe of parents and students together that we can relate to each other, band together to make sure that our children do not fall down socially and also academically.
So since you mentioned about creating this tribe, and now that we see a lot of that's popping up all around the country, and especially in New York, is these learning pods. So tell me a little bit, what do you think about organizing learning pods, and where do you think a think tank may be able to fit in with that?
Sure. I think the learning pod is terrific. It really does address the health and safety of children, and it keeps the learning environment small and contained. The parents can stay on board together and create that little tribe, so to speak, and help their children stay connected very easily with each other to get everything done. I think that Think Tank would be amazing for that because we do small group sizes, Kevin. We have one-on-one instruction. We do parent coaching, caregiver coaching, grandparent coaching, whoever is going to be the guardian or parent involved in supporting the education at home. And we do that, and we've had great success with that. We help the parents find a proper learning environment at home, and that means Zoom etiquette, how to come to class online. You're not going to show up in your pajamas or a tutu or a fire hat. You come dressed for school. You're not eating at the table. You're not bringing toys, minimal distractions to set up a high learning zone for the children. Think Tank does that. They do it with the small class sizes and with the parents, and all together it makes a true success in terms of a learning environment.
So, of course, this sounds like an amazing program, and I'm sure that there are parents of preschool age children who would love to see how it can work with their students as well. So how can parents get involved with Think Tank or even with Perischool?
Well, what they can do is they can go on our website. There's a lot of information on there. It's on perryschool.com. That's P-E-R-R-Y school.com. It has all of the information there, including parent testimonies. They can also shoot us an email, and we can give them additional information if that's required, or a phone call, and we can help them that way.
And if they do sign up or get the information they need, how much, I guess, of the education are the parents therefore responsible for, or how is the teaching actually done? Do they kind of sign into an online virtual classroom, or are the resources just there for parents to be able to use with their students individually?
Sure. We are using an online educational platform that would include on-demand videos, lesson plans, slideshows, and whatnot in order for the parents to use that at home. We're also doing live Zoom, small class sizes, 7 children or less with 2 teachers. This is a high learning environment, and it certainly sets things up for success. They can sign up for 10 weeks at a time. It is a full year program that includes 4 levels, but they can sign up for 10 weeks at a time, and once they're finished at 10 weeks, they can re-sign.
Gotcha. So it's kind of cyclical, but it's continuous. It's a continuing cycle. So like you said, you sign up for 10 weeks. That first cycle, when that first cycle is over, then they sign up for another 10 weeks. So that means that they're not committed.
Correct.
They're not committed to the entire year. They can do 10 weeks. They can do 10 weeks now, take some time off, and then do the next 10-week cycle.
Correct. Absolutely. One of the reasons we set it up like that, especially under these circumstances where families really do not know, everything keeps changing on a weekly basis. Parents do not know if they're going back to work, when they're going back to work. So we try to make it as easy as possible for parents to get their children on board, have success in the program, and manage their own lives at home at the same time.
That sounds amazing. Thank you for that information. You are listening to Instruction Discussion on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. My name is Kevin Boston Hill, And our guest today is Dawn Lesley Stewart, founder and director of Preschool and Think Tank. So let me ask you this. How, in your opinion, how is this epidemic affecting the socialization of our young children?
That's a very interesting question. The socialization is very important in the childhood years, especially the early childhood years. That sets the stage for their lives going forward. That's where friendships are made that can last a lifetime. Obviously, remote learning is not going to replace in-person socialization. However, staying connected online is very important. We've seen families here that drifted off and did not do or continue the online learning program that we provided for the school, and they became very disconnected. The children that stuck with it, the families that stuck with it, really did succeed. And they started doing Zoom play dates. So after the online learning program, they would arrange a time that they could meet in each other's homes, and we had certain children that would even play hide and seek. They would play hide and seek in each other's home and find each other. So that's something that you can see parents are really finding a way around this thing and making sure that their children stay connected. Another point, too, is that parents really need to talk to their children, and they need to do it in a developmentally appropriate way, in an age-appropriate way that doesn't make their child scared, but does let them understand what's happening in the world, that we need to stay safe right now, but we will see our friends soon. I think that's important that children understand the reality, but done in a safe way.
And so when we talk about that social emotional aspect of the learning that takes place, are there also resources on the website that will assist the parents in developing that? In the social component? Yes.
That is something that the Think Tank program is primarily academic.
Okay. Now, I was just wondering if there were...
It is primarily academic.
Because I know that there are, because you talk about the check-ins as far as having parents speak to their children and in an age-appropriate developmental way. So I'm just wondering if there may be some other resources available or that you know of that would help to assist parents in, how can I or when should I check in with my child, and what are some of the things I should be doing with them to give them like a quick check to see how they're doing, like a thumbs up, thumbs to the side, thumbs down type of thing.
I know, I understand. Absolutely. First of all, one of the things that we're offering is a private Facebook group, so that will help. And we're involved, the teachers are involved in that as well, so the parents can communicate, they can post pictures of what their children are doing, questions they have to each other, and the teachers can chime in and give their responses to whatever's happening on the Facebook page. So that's an important component. In addition to that, we will give parents all types of guidelines on how they can help their child at home, how they can help them socially, what types of feedback that they can give their children. And I think that the one-on-one coaching that we do with the parents that we're doing twice per session is very helpful. That way we can actually customize all the information that we're giving to the parents, because each situation really is unique. They're dealing with a unique set of circumstances at home, whether or not the parent is working from home, whether they've gone back to work. One parent is at home, the other one's not, a caregiver. So we are assessing it situation by situation and coming up with a strategy to help each family get through this time and hopefully be as successful as possible with everybody involved, including the teachers, the caregivers, the parents, and the children.
Got it, guys. So I see that I'm sure that there are some parents who will love to delve into and experience some of those suggestions and things and try those suggestions on their own, because they're juggling a lot of things. And speaking of juggling, do you have any recommendations for parents on how they can juggle working with their young children, the young school-age children, and maintain the work that they may have to be doing at home as well?
Absolutely. If at all possible, one of the advices that I would give parents, if they have the resource, is to try, if they're working, try to get a caregiver or some type of helper at home to help their child. Because if their child is left unattended, regardless of the age, it's going to be very difficult for your child to learn. If that's not possible, manage your time. The Zooms for the preschool age are very limited. They can be 2 to 3 times a day for 30 minutes. Try your best, especially with the academic programs. Try to sit with your child for the 30 minutes 3 times a week. That's an hour and a half a week. And in terms of the work that you have to do with your child offline, you could do 15 to 20 minutes a day and do it at your convenience. If you put that together, your child will succeed. Manage your time, and remember that the homeschool connection is really the key to your child's success, whether it's in person or online.
Now, let me ask you, I think I know the answer to this. I mean, like, I've been in education myself for almost 25 years, so I probably know the answer to this. There's going to be people out there who haven't had my level of experience. So let me ask you, how important is or are routines especially for this age group?
Routines are crucial. We need to have structure. Even I've seen children in families, especially during the lockdown, where we were 10 minutes late going on a Zoom and the child was affected. So timing, regular structure, regular routine is the most important. In addition to that, that will help your child transition back into in-person learning. If you are at home without structure, going back to school is going to be very difficult, or more difficult than it could be.
So I guess what we're talking about is we recommend setting up a structure at home that would as closely mimic the regular school day as possible, as far as the time that you get up to actually begin school, when you have your breaks, when you have lunch, and keep that steady each day so that the student falls into a routine, so that, again, when in-person school delivery does happen again, they can kind of it becomes more seamless than trying to rush back into something.
Absolutely. And it also creates certainty in children in general. So even during the summer months or during the lockdown or the coming months ahead when we are doing a lot of remote learning, try and keep the structure as close to what the child would be doing at school. And that way your child will be happier at home and transitioning into school will be more seamless.
So let me also ask you this question. We've been talking a lot about using the technology that's in front of us. So because traditionally, technology companies have not really focused on preschool education. They focused on, again, K to 12 and even college, but not so much preschool. And so Zoom seems to have become the go-to platform for remote teaching. How effective is it for our really young children, that 3 to 5, 3 to 6 age group?
We actually love Zoom. We spent a lot of time at the school perfecting what we were doing during the lockdown and over the summer months, and we have found extremely successful. Again, we do small class sizes, which is the key, 7 children or less. And with the one-on-one coaching with the children and the families, we found it to be a successful platform. In addition to that, we have done things like taking the parent around the house and finding, again, the ideal environment for them that has allowed us to go into their home. We wouldn't be able to do that otherwise. And that has been definitely a component that has helped the children transition into the online learning and go from actually not doing well to completely succeeding online. I do believe that with Zoom training for teachers and Zoom training for parents and caregivers, we can do this thing together. In addition to that, the programming needs to be very, very lively and dynamic and fast-paced. It also needs to have materials on the table that mirror the materials that we are teaching across the screen. And we find that the more hands-on the children are on the table at home, we can teach the children more effectively. And in addition to that, the children we taught the parents how to make a turn each time it was another child's turn because they're muted. So get engaged in another child's turn. So if it's another child's turn, the parent at home or the caregiver at home is talking about that child having a turn and pointing out what's happening on the screen to keep their child engaged. And that really worked.
You're listening to Instruction Discussion on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. My name is Kevin Boston Hill, and our guest today is Dawn Lesley Stewart, founder and director of the Perry School and Think Tank in the Think Tank program. Let me go back to something you just mentioned and about the mimicking or what the teachers should, or the parents rather, or caregivers should be doing as far as with other people are participating during the Zoom call. Because what it sounds like we're doing is we're teaching cooperative learning, we're teaching cooperation, we're teaching about teamwork, really, because like everybody takes a turn, and
Sure.
And you're teaching empathy to students at a really young age, which is kind of the cornerstone of of our civilization, of being good citizens.
Absolutely. One of the things that we do in person when we have a circle time is the children learn to wait, to take their turn, and to listen to other children as they take their turn. What we found was happening online was that when it wasn't their turn, they were disengaging and running off. So we taught the parents how to do that, and that really made a difference in their learning curve.
So let me see if I can phrase this right. How do you work with those families and caregivers to kind of ensure an optimal learning environment for the child online? I know you mentioned about having the materials that mimic what they see on the screen, but what can we do beyond that?
Well, we talked about the Zoom etiquette. That's really important. Originally, when we first went online, we noticed that children were coming to the class with toys, in costumes, eating. Housekeepers were running behind the child. The sibling was crying. So what we tried to do was we went in with the one-on-one coaching with the parent, and we just tried to find out what was going on at home, what they were struggling with, what their frustrations were, and really listening and fine-tuning it that way. We learned a lot from that. And then what we would do, we took all of that information that we got from parents throughout the lockdown, and we made guidelines that we could help any new parent coming in that didn't have that type of coaching, that's still struggling right now or gave up. A lot of parents gave up. They just said, we can't do this thing. It's totally doable, but it has to be under the right circumstances. The teachers have to be trained properly. They need Zoom training. We need to help the parents. And we need to be ready under these uncertain times where everything is outside the box. We need to be ready to roll up our sleeves and work with what we have. We need to abandon everything from the past and move forward, because remote learning can really work. It just has to have the right support and the right set of guidelines and circumstances to make it thrive.
No, those are excellent words of advice as far as trying to make sure that this does work the way that it should work, because who knows how long we're going to be in this distance learning type of environment, this virtual environment. So in order for us to make it work, everybody is all hands on deck. Everybody has to do their part and make sure.
Absolutely.
So let me ask you this also, because we talk about, again, the materials and mimicking the school environment as much as possible. Is there a section on the website or during that you mention what materials are going to be needed or suggested materials so that the students can have something at home to be hands-on with?
Actually, they will receive a starter packet from us with the hands-on materials to get started, which will make things a lot easier for the parents. In addition to that, we use the learning platform that gives them a whole series of materials to use at home. Everything from the on-demand videos to slideshows, presentations, lesson plans, videos of ways to teach your child at home, games and activities, and different guidelines and protocols in order to make this thing work. So yes, absolutely.
I know that's definitely going to be a load off of a lot of people's minds, because they always want to have that list of supplies and materials. So what is it that I need to make sure my child is going to be successful? And if they're already getting a starter kit, so to speak, I think that's going to be definitely a load off.
And just so you know, the materials for this program are very simple, and it's easy for the parents to find. It's not a headache or cumbersome at all.
Right, so it's something they can easily go on to Amazon or the Staples or something like that they can find, or they may even be able to find those things lying around the house.
Absolutely.
We also know that preschool education and just daycare in itself can be kind of expensive. So is Think Tank an affordable option for most people, and do they have to be within the New York area to take advantage of it, or is it something they can be anywhere, any part of the state, any part of the country?
Kevin, this is totally affordable. What the interesting part of this is, someone can sign their child up, register their child for Think Tank, and get a premier preschool experience for a fraction of the cost, and they can be anywhere in the world to do it. And I think that is just absolutely amazing. And if that's a silver lining in this, I'll take it.
Well, I think that's definitely a game changer because, again, I'm sure they can find out by contacting you exactly how much it would be for one of those 10-week sessions. But that would be a game changer to be able to, for parents to be able to, no matter where they are, to be able to supply quality education for their young children.
I think it's a wonderful thing, and I'm looking forward to the future of that.
So if you had to leave our audience with one thing that we should keep in mind when working with our preschoolers, especially in a digital format, what would that be?
Don't give up. Be persistent. Get on a high-quality program. Stay with your child during the Zoom classes because that's super important to strengthen the homeschool connection and make sure your child doesn't fall through the cracks. And we can do this thing together. It's totally doable and figure-outable.
And where can our listeners reach you if they have any further questions?
You can find us at www.perryschool.com. That's perryschool.com.
Excellent. Thank you. So again, we'd like to thank our guest, Ms. Dawn Lesley Stewart, the founder and director of Perry School and Think Tank, for visiting our class today.
Thank you, Kevin.
My name is Kevin Boston Hill, and thank you all for listening to Instruction Discussion, right here on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.